Welcome to the Battlefield Show. I'm your host, Sage Goodwin, and as always, I'm joined by Sammy Boy. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
Doing fantastic, ready to hop into some Battlefield, and today we're going to be talking about our thoughts on the most recent season, Season 4, as well as what's upcoming in terms of the next event, and we're going to be looking towards the future from the Inside Battlefield podcast. We've got some fun details there, as well as some of our tips and tricks that we have for the new map, Flashpoint. So, let's jump right in. How have you been enjoying this season?
I've been loving it. I've kind of got that addiction again, where any spare time, I'm kind of thinking, oh, can I squeeze in a bit of Battlefield here? So, that's always a good sign for me.
How many rounds can I get?
Yeah. It's always a very good sign for me when that's the case, because even there's a lot of times when I really like a game, but I'm not like itching to play it. It's kind of just like I'll just know I'll play it on the weekend or something. So I'm not like addicted.
It can wait.
Yeah.
I'll get to it.
Whereas when I'm, during the week, I finished my work a little bit earlier than I thought, and I squeeze something. I know that that's a really good state for the game. So yeah, very much enjoying it, and hopefully, with the next few updates and, leading into Season 5, it just continues. What about you?
Oh, dude. We were talking a little bit about this before we recorded, but I think this is the most I've played any season. Yeah. I've played a lot in, I think it was Season 3 with Spearhead. Right at the beginning, I was playing that pretty consistently. But it was maybe only like 3 days a week that I'd be like, okay, I'm getting it. Literally every single day this week, I have been playing it. And every single day last week, I was playing it. I am thoroughly addicted to this map and really, really enjoying all the different gameplay styles. And we were talking, again, like we talked about last episode of we theorized that, man, this is pretty interesting. There's a lot of different play styles that you can do on this map. And it's true. There are so many different ways that you can play in this map. What decisions you want to make, what loadouts you want to make, what specialist even. And I've been mostly playing, I've only been playing Blasco and really enjoying that play style. Mm-hmm. And I know what I said before. I really like the new tool.
Yeah, it's good fun.
That beacon is pretty freaking sweet for racking up some XP.
Yeah, isn't it? That's what I mean. I think it's just that alone is fun. I think just when it pops up over and over again saying you've got 10 XP, 10 XP, 10 XP, that alone is just satisfying. So yeah, I think we both have probably felt a bit different actually playing Blasco compared to what we thought we would, because both of us were kind of yeah, she sounds cool but not that useful and not that fun. And yeah, I don't think she's the best in the game, or she's not the one that I'm going to main forever, but yeah, I definitely am eating my words that I'm having a lot more fun with Blasco than I thought I would.
I don't know if I'm playing her like I should be, or how she was designed to play in that slower side of things. I'm still playing exactly as I have been, but now it's really fun because it's almost like a mini game in it where you get to, okay, where's the best place to drop this down to get the best XP? Yeah. And then also, there's been a lot of back and forth in Discord of how people play, the different play styles and how that works. And I've made an intentional decision recently to be hyper focused on that mini map, to really focus on, okay, I'm going to play this like the character's supposed to be played. I want to focus on my mini map. I want to see how that affects things and really pay attention to what I need to do and where I need to place things, how I want to play, what weapons I'm using, and all that kind of thing. Really enjoying that side of things, and I am definitely using my mini map more because of that intentional decision. I still think it's a different change, but I have a question. I've been hearing all this so many times of man, the new UI is so good, and you can now see who's above or below you. I don't know what is what. Because I'll spawn on someone and they'll have a different icon, but they'll literally be on the ground. And I'll spawn someone with just the regular triangle thing, and they will also be on the ground. I don't know
I feel like it's potentially bugged. I've noticed that too, because it's like, it seems as though
if it's a star, it's supposed to be above, right?
Yeah, I think it's like, I can't really fully remember, because it's one of those things, like when I'm playing I know, but when I'm trying to think of it, I can't actually picture what it is. I think there's like the one that is just a solid color, I think is on your same level. Mm-hmm. I think then there's like it might be a star or a triangle that is pointing up, that means they're above you, but then I can't remember if it's just an arrow downwards for below, or if it's a different symbol. I can't really remember, because to be honest, it's one of those things, you just don't really pay attention until you're in that exact moment, and then you're kind of in the heat of the moment that you don't take that information in, if that makes sense. So
I don't know where it is. Someone's around me. I don't know where they are, but I assume they're close. So pay attention.
Exactly. Like that's kind of what I mean, where it's like, it's just process of elimination for me when I see, okay, they're not on my level, so they're either above me or below me. What building am I in? If I'm on the ground floor, I guess they're above me. Like that's kind of how I figure it out, rather than knowing straight by just looking at the UI. So I'm sure we'll get it eventually, but I think because I haven't really paid that much attention to it, and I'm just, this map's so chaotic that you don't really have that much time to think. I think that's why I haven't.
Do you
really
play on Xbox?
Yeah.
Okay, I play on Xbox as well. Might just be an Xbox thing, because I know a friend of the podcast, Torbis, he plays on PC mostly, and he's like, oh man, it's so great. I'm like, it literally doesn't help me at all. It confuses me.
Yeah, it definitely can be information overload sometimes with the UI, and I think, like I said, because this map's chaos, it's just, my brain just kind of goes, well, I don't know what that means, so I'm just going to panic now. And then you just
I might die, and they could be above, below, or on the same level of me.
Yeah.
Very helpful.
Yeah. When I see a dot, I pretty much just go, oh god, someone's near me, and then just pay very close attention to the screen. That's pretty much how I figure it out.
Something is happening.
Yeah.
Okay. Where? It's happening. It's there. Be prepared. Where? I don't know. Be prepared. It's not my job to do your job. But man, really, I still enjoy the map. I've been trying to pay attention to where I am mostly, and literally, it's C1, E1, D1.
Yeah,
those are the only places I go.
Yeah, I don't really. Anywhere that's kind of just further to travel, like I think it would be B1 and is it F? Is there even F on this? Pretty sure it is.
There is, yeah. There's F1, G1, A1, and B1.
Yeah, so pretty much, all the end flags, I just don't really go there unless I have to. And they're not bad. It's not like they're bad areas. It's just that they're further away. I always, on any map, whenever there's 3 flags close to each other, or even 2, I'm just always there, because I like to just have 2 points or 3 points you can go between really quick, because generally those are the areas where there's going to be a lot of people, as well as like, it kind of sucks when you go to, say, B1 and you get it, and then it's like, okay, well, no one's going to come and take this anytime soon, so I'm just going to either have to wait here for ages, or I've got to run all the way back to where I was. Whereas if you're at, C1, D1, and E1, you just kind of know that you might get C1 and D1. They're probably still going to have E1, and then you go take that, they go take C1, and you're just constantly like switching, and it just means there's always a bit of action. So I'm exactly the same. I'm any map that has multiple flags close together, I'm immediately drawn to those sort of locations.
Yeah, and like those are the ones to control. Like you're either going to win or lose by those maps, so it doesn't make sense unless you've already lost those.
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense to ever go any different way.
Yeah, pretty much, because there's always going to be. It always tends to be that like your team will just get the flags that are closest to your spawn. So if you spawn at like the bottom of the map, you'll have A1 and B1, and every now and then you'll lose it. But then people who spawn there are going to get it.
If you have to fight for it, it's bad. You're going to lose.
Yeah,
usually.
Yeah, so the middle ones are definitely like it's almost just like the other ones don't exist sometimes. It's just it's almost like a game of domination with 3 flags in the middle because they're really the only ones that fully control. And if, like I said, if you get all 3, like you're going to win. There's no way you don't win that game because they're not going to get all 4 of the other flags. That's just impossible. So, yeah, they're definitely the key flags to get. And I think they're also just the most well-designed areas. Like I said, I don't think the other areas are bad, but the center of the map is just so much more enjoyable for me.
Yeah, and I think, like I definitely agree with your statement of like I don't think the other areas are badly designed, but when you compare it to these middle areas, like that has such a wide variety of gameplay. Like you're either going to be in the scaffolding, and then you have to worry about who's above and who's below you. You have to you can go underneath things, you can go around the different areas. You can really change up. You can go on the outskirts and snipe into those areas. You can really just change up the variety of different playstyles that you have available to you in those areas. You have the close quarters combat within these buildings that are also destructible, so it actually changes the viewpoints all around you as well, which I find really fun. I think that's I know it's not true, but it feels like the most destruction that we've got in Battlefield 2042 so far.
Yeah, it definitely. I think it's because they're actually.
It's so important.
Yeah, they're important parts of the map. Whereas, say, like on Hourglass, that whole village is destructible. Like that's actually a pretty big area that you can pretty much blow up the whole thing. But it doesn't even matter. Like it's just an out of the way little area. Like it does not matter. You can blow the whole thing up. It doesn't change the game at all. Whereas blowing up one side of one building on this map, I should say, it like fully changes how that map plays because you can't take the same cover that you were going to take and stuff. So yeah, it's definitely kind of shows how much we have missed destruction because part of me was like when they didn't have that much. Obviously, a lot of people were complaining about it, and I fully understood the complaints. But I also was like, it's not that big of a deal because I do think too much destruction can also be a bad thing, but I think we just
eventually you're just playing on an empty map.
Pretty much. So I think this kind of shows that, it needs to be that middle ground where too much destruction is bad, but if you don't have any at all, it doesn't really feel like Battlefield. And I think I actually said in my my update review that this map feels nostalgic. Even though it's just been out for a week. Yeah. It feels like it's
What's
an old
hilarious,
map.
And we'll get into this later, is that DICE didn't really have a huge hand in it. Obviously they did, but it's like, man, this is the most Battlefield feeling map, and it wasn't designed by the people that made Battlefield.
It's a very weird situation there, but it's I'm very glad that they've brought back destruction, and by just the concept art of the next map, it looks like that could be the same. The sort of building that we see, it looks like it could be destructible. It's not like there's certain buildings you just know, like skyscrapers, we just know they're not going to be destructible. Like that's just never going to happen.
Seriously.
Other than obviously Siege of Shanghai,
it would
but
melt
that's like
your
evolution.
Xbox.
Yeah, literally. So I think I'm going to assume that they will take note of that and be like, okay, destruction is important. Like we sort of prioritized the tornado over that, and now no one really even likes the tornado, and to be honest, I haven't seen it in like 6 months. And
same. What happened to tornadoes? Like tornadoes are fake. Fake news.
It's a conspiracy. Were they even in the game at all,
fake.
Or was that a dream? I can't even remember. But yeah, I think hopefully they look at that and go, okay, like that's another area that we kind of messed up, and let's not do that in the next game. Let's put destruction back in.
Yeah.
Make it, again, don't do it too much because that's also annoying. If every building's blown up, I don't want to play in a field that's just, it's just funny because both of us said that Spearhead's our favourite map, and that is pretty much just a field.
Literally, pretty much boxes in a field.
So it sounds a little bit hypocritical, but certain maps, like you just could
not
tell,
that kind of field.
Yeah. When it's just like a flat area standards. And then there's just buildings, that can work, but if those buildings are then gone, then it definitely cannot work. So you got to they just have to look at like Bad Company 2, Battlefield 3, and Battlefield 4. and those, and even like I think Battlefield 5 did it really well too, where you could literally just drive tanks into buildings and it would crush like the whole thing, and it looked really good as well. Like I'm thinking of was it Nordvik is the
that's Battlefield 2042.
Yeah, what is it? Was it Narvik? It was that snow?
I think it was. Yeah.
That's really confusing. I didn't actually realize how similar those words are. But that map, like that little village, you could literally just drive a tank straight through all of it, and it looked so good, and it actually affected the gameplay. So yeah, I really hope they just take note of that. And
I think that you struck on it. As long as it impacts the gameplay in a good way, like we're talking about on this map, depending on how the buildings are destroyed, it affects what cover you're going to be using, how you're going to be attacking and defending that one point. And like in Battlefield 5, like depending on which buildings are destroyed, not all of them can be destroyed, but majority of them can be. And you also have the ability in Battlefield 5 to rebuild certain aspects and to just build defenses as well. So it really circumvented that. Like they made a mechanic to supplement the weaknesses of that other mechanic.
Yeah. And I really hope they bring that back. I would love to be able to like slightly reinforce a building and make it like almost a makeshift.
Dude, I played Battlefield 5 like Minecraft.
Yeah, like it's actually such a good playing like Breakthrough, and there's tanks sitting back like shelling the area that you're in, and it's all destroyed, and then you can set up sandbags and stuff. It feels like you're actually helping even if you get 0 kills. Like you can just sit there and rebuild, and it actually helps the rest of your teammates. So I kind of get why they took that out for this game, but it's another one of those additions that, just like the behemoths in Battlefield 1, that I'm kind of like, why add that? And then everyone kind of liked it, and then just be like, yeah, we're not doing that again. Like, I don't know. It's an odd decision, so hopefully they do bring that back. I'm not sure they will, but yeah, I'd love to see it.
Oh, same here. I think you struck on it too earlier, that Battlefield, a lot of what makes Battlefield so unique is the destruction. It's the thing that really makes it unique, stand out from what Call of Duty has been doing. Yeah. Call of Duty was like, guys, you can destroy doors now. And Battlefield's like, you could destroy a whole building in Battlefield 4. You could destroy a whole town in Battlefield 4. Yeah. You could destroy a dam and it would flood the entire area in Battlefield 4. And they've slowly like belittled that fact, even though it's such a huge standout for them.
Yeah, I think they probably regret that internally with sort of choosing the Tornado over it. I get where they were going with that, because it looked awesome, and if it was like a bit easier to do, I think it's a good addition to the game. Where if it was just like simple and they could just chuck it in there, then yeah, I think it's a cool thing to have. But if it took that much effort and like power to do that, it was definitely not worth it, because people kind of got sick of it after like a few weeks.
Guys, we spent 6 to 9 months on the Tornado. It was incredible. It was pitched by the marketing team, and the developers hated it. They put so much time and effort into it, and now they basically turned it off.
I swear they have. I swear they've turned its like chances of being in a map to like 1% at this point.
Can there even be a tornado on Flashpoint?
I don't think so, because I think that the like weather event is that it just gets rainy. So I could be wrong, but I don't. I haven't seen one anyway. I definitely haven't seen one.
I've been playing it enough to see one.
Yeah,
and I
that's
haven't.
The thing. Yeah, I feel like we've both racked up enough playtime that surely we would have seen one by now.
I would assume so if it's there. But hey, maybe it is there. We just aren't in the 0.1% that it happens or whatever. But yeah, I'm honestly like really enjoying the season, the variety of the play styles, the differences in like I'm playing Blasco with an SMG right now, so I can unlock the other SMGs that I haven't, and it works.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, that's what I like the most, is that
I think I'm using the K30.
Yeah, that works really well on this map too. It's I think they've just finally nailed that, where it just does feel. I think the proficiency system is just really good, where you can kind of use whatever you want with whoever you want. There are the bonuses that they're kind of like trying to guide you in the right direction and be like, if you're going to play this class, here's what you should use, but like we don't care. And I think that's a good way to do it. I think it's
you do you.
Yeah.
But you should be using this one. But we don't care if you don't either.
Yeah. That's how all games should be, I think. They should try to guide you in the direction of like, here's what we designed it for. Like, this is what we think, we made the game and this is how it was meant to be played. But it's a game. It doesn't have to be like, we're not your boss. We're not going to tell you what to do. So here's what we think, but do whatever you want. And hopefully that works for you as well. And I think that's every shooter and really even like single player games. I think that's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
So let people play how they want while still keeping the balance, and like having a best alternative is still fine. Just don't punish those who don't do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I think Battlefield's always been the sandbox game. It's the one that you can have tons of different destructive actions, the variety of experiences, like all of it. That's what Battlefield really does very well, is letting you do what you want to on this large-scale battle.
Yeah.
Which I think it's fantastic. And when it works well, it works so well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And then kind of incorporating, I need to catch up on the Battlefield or Inside Battlefield podcast.
Yeah, me too.
I'm mostly caught up. I've been listening to it while I do some design work, and that's been good. But we do have lovely Battlefield Bulletin to keep us all up to date, and this is from episode 7. All chat is coming in a future update. I'm happy about this. I think this was one of those things of like, why'd you remove it?
Yeah, it's like one of those issues that has been there since launch that isn't that big of a deal, but it's like when all of these add up, it does make a difference. And now they're just kind of like, yeah, we didn't want it, but everyone wanted it, so we're just going to put it in. And I think it's, even though it's a pretty insignificant change, I think it's like, it's nice seeing them kind of just come around to a lot of the stuff that they were just adamant, like, no, we're not doing that. And then it's just kind of like they've softened a bit and they're going like, you know what, like, you guys are stuck with us. Let's change some of this stuff that you guys wanted that we were pretty much adamant we didn't want to put in the game.
Yeah. Turns out you guys like this crap. Okay, fine. Guess we'll do it. You guys play the game, I guess.
Yeah. You pay our bills. I guess we should potentially listen to.
Which I think it's a good change. Like you said, it's something that the community was like immediately like, why isn't this here? And they're like, well, there's a lot of people here, blah, blah, blah. But I think it's something that works so well in the game. And it offers some of that like back and forth banter that's so good about Battlefield. Like, we're going to keep on mentioning it because I think they should, but persistent servers, something that you can like go with a group of people to the next game.
Yeah.
It's a mind-blowing idea, but I think it's possible. Pretty sure that it's been done before in games that are a lot older than Battlefield 2042.
Exactly.
Specifically, all of the other Battlefield games. But we got to mention that every time. But I think more stuff like that is good, and it offers opportunities for deeper connection, deeper community, and Battlefield, which is good.
Yeah, and that's they're all about that too. Like it is the type of game where I don't really see that with like Call of Duty, and I would say Halo has a little bit of it too, where there's a bit of like, they do clearly care about the community. I'm not saying Call of Duty doesn't. It's just like I think there's so many players.
Their community sucks compared to like their community as a community sucks. Yeah, everyone's mean to each other. Yeah, it's
literally just toxic as. But even the way that they handle it too, it's not even like, I don't know. They just don't. I never see them tweeting about the community. Like Battlefield just this morning, I think it was, or maybe yesterday, tweeted, I don't know, like, here's the best only in Battlefield moments from Season 4 so far, showing like everyone's gameplay. I've never seen Call of Duty do that. I've seen them do it with like pros, where they'll share like a pro player, a big kill streak he got in a game, but like that's them promoting the CDL. That's not them trying to promote the community. Whereas Battlefield, like, they do just clearly, it is all about the community. And even the way that they listen to us as well they clearly do care, and it doesn't mean that they're perfect because they've obviously messed up a lot of stuff. But yeah, just the fact that they do care and they're always promoting community, that does give me a little bit of hope that the more they fix the game, maybe they go, okay, we weren't going to put server browser and persistent servers and stuff, but that's kind of like the final piece of the puzzle, and we're all about community, so let's do it. So hopefully it happens. But yeah.
It's like when you're driving for a long time on a road trip, and there's this one car that's been there for like several hours with you. You're like, man, him and I are buddies, and then they take that exit off, and you're like, ah, oh, dang it.
Yeah.
Lost that friend. That's like what persistent servers are. Literally, I know people that made their best friends that way.
Yeah, exactly. Like, a lot of people from my channel that I'm good friends with now, I actually met them in Battlefront 2, like, in the game before they even had seen my channel or anything. Like, and I just kept seeing their names, and we'd squad up, and that's kind of lost in this game. And I think that's a sad thing, because that's how... It's kind of like, it just feels like a retro thing within gaming, and it's just kind of like, now it's just kind of gone.
Yeah.
And because it's kind of the same with the whole Battle Royale, thing taking over, which, again, I'm a big Battle Royale fan, but that's kind of the same where you're in a game, you play, and then it gets split up and you go to another lobby. So even in like Call of Duty, I don't see that happening. Like there's no like making friends in a game anymore. And it's kind of sad to see. So I hope that they try to change that, because I think Battlefield's always done that so well. And especially with like, during the COVID years and all that kind of thing, it's such an important thing. People were stuck at home. Obviously, we're kind of past that now, but people were stuck at home. It's such a good way to be able to make friends that if they were doing that then, now that everything's back to normal, those people could be going and meeting up for the first time and traveling across, different countries and stuff to meet each other. It's such a cool thing that gaming offers, I reckon, that most other entertainment industries don't. You don't really make friends watching a movie. Like, that doesn't really happen. Whereas with gaming, you it's a form of entertainment that you actually bond with people over. So that's why I'm so, like, the amount of times I've had to complain about server browser and all that kind of thing. That's why I'm so passionate about that, because it's like, it's a pretty important element of your game, and they seem to have, at the start of the game, not really paid attention to it, and it definitely does seem like they're, slightly coming around to that now, so we just got to hope that they keep on following through and put that bloody server browser in there.
Come on, guys. Do it, you cowards. Yeah, definitely. And I agree with all those different notes, too, of like, the community is the reason that you stay for the game. Obviously, you go because you enjoy the varying experiences that are there, but you stay for the people. You stay if you have a squad that you can jump into. I mean, that was the whole point of all of these different games and the rise of Call of Duty Warzone and hopping on with a bunch of buddies, and like that was the rise of it. Like there's a way to connect over digital experiences. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you all heard it here first, folks, that Sammy Boy hates battle royales, and it's time for them all to die because they're killing Battlefield.
Unless Battlefield wants to do one properly this time, then I'm all for that.
Yeah, exactly. Rest in peace. What was it?
Firestorm.
Firestorm.
Such a
there it is.
missed opportunity, man. I still feel deep depression about that. It was so good.
Seriously.
It was it had so much potential, and then just died.
Battlefield with the good old, we're going to hop on a trend several years after it's popular and do it the worst way ever.
We're going to do this trend that's kind of already not new, and then we're going to also make you pay for it when everyone else does it for free.
I know you get this free everywhere else, but how about you pay us for it? Does that sound like a good plan?
Sounds like a deal to me.
But kind of going a little bit further into what was in the Inside Battlefield episode of the podcast, there is going to be a new gadget in Season 5, and the Season 5 map is going to be handled by DICE Stockholm, which I think it was funny that before Season 4, like, I didn't think you'd have to specify that DICE was going to make the map, but now you do.
Yeah, that's weird, isn't it? I just assumed they handled every really every piece of content, because there hasn't been Portal content other than a couple weapons here and there.
Yeah.
So I kind of just thought Ripple Effect wasn't even really doing anything, but I guess they have been.
They're designing the best map in the game. And this is a good note too to add that we wouldn't have been getting this information if it wasn't for this podcast. Like, we wouldn't know this level of detail if it wasn't for this podcast, which I think is just a really good thing to note and really showcase that. This is something. This is information that they wouldn't post on Battlefield comms. This is not information that they post on Battlefield, the official Twitter accounts or whatever. This is something that you get from the developers when you have a platform for them to get together and talk to each other with and have that deeper level of discussion with the fans and that back and forth. And honestly, it's been a lot better now that we've got this back and forth. I'd say the communication around Season 4 is some of the best that we've gotten since the game came out. Yeah,
I would even argue that the current communication is up there with Battlefield ever. Like, it's as good as the communication has really ever. I can't remember there being a time in Battlefield 1 or 4 or 3 or any of those games where the communication was better than it is now. So, it's kind of annoying that they didn't realize that and they've only just figured that out. Because it's like, if this imagine like before Season 1, when we were all kind of on the edge of like, is this game even worth still playing? If they had this level of communication, which, to be fair, there wasn't probably that much to talk about, and like, I can get why they went a bit dark, but it's just, I don't know how long you and I have been saying, like, communicate with us. It's not that hard, and now they're doing it, and they're doing it better than I would have asked either. Like, the podcast is not, it's not necessary, but they're doing it, and it's really good. So,
and it's an open dialogue for them to get feedback in a reasonable amount of time directly to the developers that would be heading and or implementing it, because they have a wide variety. They've got, obviously, Stratford, right, who is the community leader. You've got a couple developers on there. That's huge. Those are the people that you want. So you have like the community kind of gatherer there, as well as the people that are going to be implementing some of that information and actually developing the changes that people want to be made.
Yeah, and I think what you said too about like the fact that it's open dialogue, it's nice and refreshing to just get people from the company just talking about it, rather than everything being so like meticulously written out in the most perfect way.
We have come down from the mountain with the scribes from our hallowed developers, and we have decided to take away this thing.
Yeah, like, it's always so like overly structured, and I get it. I get it's a big billion-dollar company, and like, you can't just do that all the time. You can't just be open the same way that you and I can on this podcast. We can just kind of talk about whatever we want, because there's not heaps of legal issues that can happen from it. But the fact that we are actually just getting conversations from them, it's just so nice to see it. And I don't know about everyone else, it just makes me feel more involved, even though I've barely even been listening to it. But just the fact that we get the information, I just feel involved by the developers within the community. Like, it feels like they're welcoming us into their home and saying like, come and have a chat. Let's talk about the thing that we're all here for. Like, it's just a nice change. And it's, I think when everything's so structured, that's probably why the communication wasn't even happening, because if they're going to be that strict and structured about everything, it's probably better to not even talk about stuff, because it's like, we've got to write this bloody article that's got to go through 40 approvals to even just get put out there, and then what if we accidentally say this thing or that thing? Like, just, I don't know, it's just such a nice change where it's like they're not scared anymore. I think that's what makes it feel good. They're not scared to, they might accidentally say something that they're not meant to, and it's like they don't really care anymore, because they're just all about trying to involve us all. So I'm a big fan of it.
Yeah, it's so great. I hope that they implement all of this and it just doesn't stop when they start development on the new game. Like, it'd be so fun to hear inside stories, not specifically, but like obviously geared around Battlefield 2042 as long as you possibly can, get inside feedback on that, changes, updates, all that fun stuff. But once Battlefield, whatever the next one's going to be called, once that's officially announced, it would be awesome to have that open dialogue, and it's literally inside Battlefield. That's the name of the podcast. And you get the inner workings of like, okay, hey, the developers are working on this right now, or they're thinking about this side of things. What does it look like from a developer side of things on a launch? Like, that would be super fascinating to see a lot more of that information on what DICE is working on, what they're doing, and what perspectives they actually want to implement.
Yeah, because like, imagine leading up to the launch of this game with how much hype there already was. Imagine if they were doing this level of communication and like inside information. I think that would just, yeah, that'd be so good to see. So I do hope that, I hope this isn't, because I remember they used to do something similar to this like way back. I think it was maybe towards the end of Battlefield 1 or maybe even Battlefield 5. I can't remember. And no, I think it was Battlefield 5 because I remember them talking about the like the community servers that they were implementing. Yeah. And then they just obviously stopped. And I just hope they don't do that again. Or if they're going to stop, at least start it back up when the game launches or something. Because it's just, it's clearly a good idea. Every time they've done it, people have really enjoyed it. I can't imagine it costs them that much, does it? They've got their own studio already. They just need people to talk, and the developers are already there. It can't cost them really anything, I wouldn't imagine. So, it's, yeah, I don't know why they wouldn't keep going ahead with it. Hopefully they do, but it's also DICE, so we got to temper our expectations a little bit.
They're like, guys, I know we learned all of this stuff from Battlefield 2042 and Battlefield 5 and Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 3. But how about we start from zero and just see what happens?
Oh, goodness.
Do you guys think a podcast is good? I don't know. We did that before and it was really popular and successful, and we got a lot of good feedback from it. I don't know. Let's give it a little bit. Let's see. Let's see how we're feeling. Okay. Let's just let the creative juices flow. We don't have to get stuck into this thing. They're like, what if we released a series of PDFs that we put on the website, and that's how we communicate to fans?
Goodness.
Wow, how did you get in here? Where are you from? But as we get more details around Battlefield Season 5, I should say, how you feel about it? Obviously, we're still rocking and rolling. We're enjoying Battlefield Season 4, but what are your expectations? Do you think, at this point in time, do you think we'd get a Battlefield 2042 Season 6?
Jeez, that's a good question. It's almost impossible to tell for me. It's like, right.
It's so 50, weird because I feel like the community is really good right now.
Yeah, like it feels like they definitely could. If they came out tomorrow and announced, all right, guys, we're doing 6, 7, and 8. Like, we're going to commit to it. It wouldn't surprise me, but it also wouldn't surprise me if they were like, we're done after Season 5. This is the last season. So, I don't know. It's like right in the middle there where if you asked me, I don't know, 3 months ago, I think I was definitely saying like, nah, I don't see Season 6. Whereas now I'm not really sure, but I'm also not confident we will. It's just kind of like the way that the game's gone, it's made it really hard to tell. So I hope we do. I think the game, I think it deserves a proper live service. Because just especially we've had that taken away from us with Battlefield 5 and Battlefront 2, and it's like, I mean, Battlefront 2's live service was good, but it could have gone longer. Like, I want a game that makes a redemption and then doesn't just go like, all right, well, we've done our job. Like, I want them to be like, okay, we've done our job, and now let's keep going. Let's make this a really good game, not just a pretty good game. So I hope they do, but yeah, as for whether we do, I don't know. It's literally, that's like such a boring answer, but my answer is literally just, I cannot tell you. It's so hard to tell.
Yeah, I feel like it is the most likely that we get something past Season 5 right now. It feels really good.
Yeah.
It feels like the community is strong. It feels like we're getting a good amount of communication, feedback. Like, I don't want it to start. Like, this is probably the healthiest the game's been.
Yeah, 100%.
Since it launched.
It feels like it would all just be a waste again. This is really like where Battlefield 5 kind of was. Where we're all like, oh man, this is actually like, look at this game. Like, it's actually good now. And then, and then they just said, all right, we're done. So I just, I don't know. I just feel like it would just be such a dumb decision to do that again. I understand there's more to it. They're going to make their money and all those sorts of things. But surely this game's monetized better than Battlefield 5. And sometimes you just got to take the loss with the money. Just, I don't know. I'm no businessman, but surely they all know that sometimes you do just have to sink in a bit of money that is like an investment in the future. Because, yeah, they might lose X amount of money on this game. But I can guarantee if they earn the trust back of the community over the next 10 years, if they keep making good games, they will make that back tenfold. But if they decide to save a bit of money in this game and just go, all right, it's not making as much as we want, so let's cancel it, then it's just going to be back to square one, where leading up to the next game, we're all going to be like, oh my God, are we doing this again? Is this game going to suck at launch? Then, it's just, I don't know how they can't see that. And again, there's got to be more to it that we, like, I don't claim to just know everything about how it all works, but the way I see it is, it doesn't matter what I do or don't know, something hasn't worked in the last however many DICE games. You don't just keep doing the same thing when it doesn't work. So something has to change, and the thing that I think needs to change is that they need to just commit to what they're doing rather than kind of like half-assing everything. And then they're not winning or losing. It's just enough. Like, every game's just like, yeah, it's all right. That's not, you'd almost rather it be a massive loss. Than just be like, yeah, I guess that game was okay. Because at least from the loss, you're going to learn something.
At least there's an emotional response.
Yeah.
In either of those situations. Obviously, you want it to be the best, but if it can be terrible and you learn from it, at least you've got that.
Exactly. Whereas when it's just like how the last few have been, it's just kind of like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just kind of, I think it wears down the community too. I think if they do another Battlefield 5 where they cancel it once it's good, that's just like draining. I'm just going to be like, oh man, I'm so tired of this happening. It's just going to like, it'll almost reduce my love for the franchise a bit, I think, if they do that. Because I'm just going to be like, all right, this is how all these games work now. So when the next one comes out, I know it's going to probably suck at launch and then it'll be good and then they'll cancel it. It's just like boring and tiring. So they just need to commit. Clearly, they just probably won't, because the higher ups there, they don't know a single thing about gaming. They know how to run a business, and that's literally it. So I don't think they'll change, unfortunately, but hopefully they do. Hopefully some of the old heads that are in charge maybe start retiring soon and stuff like that, and we get some new young CEOs and stuff in there that actually have their finger on the pulse and actually understand a single thing about gaming, since that is the industry that they're in. Yeah,
exactly. Come on, guys. Do some games.
It's really like, a lot of them, it's like they're selling meat products, but they're vegetarian. It's like, you don't know anything about that. So why are you in that industry?
We've got the best beef possible. How do you know?
It looks good.
It's beef.
Guess. Yeah. I can't taste it because I don't like it and I'm not going to have it, but I guess it looks what I imagine would be good. It's so frustrating, man.
Finishing off, do you have any good like tips and tricks for the new map?
Geez, that's a tough one, because like we said, there's so many playstyles that it's almost, this is the most boring and like worst tip I think I've ever heard someone say. But my tip is literally just play how you want to play. I think if you have a certain, like if you are good in a certain way, just focus on that, because on a lot of other maps, like if you're really good with an SMG and you're playing on Spearhead, you might not be able to play that well because you might need a longer range weapon. Whereas on this map, you really can like focus on your strengths, and it doesn't matter what those strengths are. So I think really just finding out, like I'm sure most people would know by now, but finding out what your best playstyle is and best specialist and weapon and all that kind of thing, and then trying to get to the areas of the map that suit that. So if you're good in close quarters, stick to the buildings. Like that, it's a very obvious tip, but it's also the type of tip that you can't really give on every other map. And I think a lot of people have kind of forgotten that you can do that because all the other maps are so like niche to certain playstyles. So yeah, it's kind of a boring answer, but that's probably my number one tip.
I'd say for me, like the biggest tip I would give would be trying to capture. Oh, which one is it? Probably D. D is the one I feel like the most back and forth around. That's the one I would say if you have to prioritize one or the other, I would go for D or I think F.
Yeah.
One of those two.
Yeah, I do agree with that too, because they also feel like the high ground a little bit. I feel like even though F is not a central flag, it's like it allows you to spawn up on that hillside, and then even if you don't have D, you can look down at it. So yeah, I agree with that too. That it's a weirdly designed map in that sense where there is actually a high ground and a low ground, and yeah, if you're on one side of the map, you do get a little bit of an advantage because you can kind of come over the top of that hill. Whereas if you're pushing from the other end of the map, you've got to push uphill into that central area, and that can be pretty tough sometimes.
It is. Like, the thing I love about this map the most is the verticality of it. It offers a lot of different levels of combat. Like, you can stay away, you can snipe people, pick them off through sniping. I've heard a lot of people complain about how heavily sniper-focused this map is, and I would have to agree in certain areas. But if you're mostly during travel to specific points is where I get killed the most from snipers. So I wonder if that's something that they want to maybe address in a future map rework kind of update thing of like maybe add a little bit more coverage in between those 2 points. Because I feel like I don't normally get sniped too much while at the specific points, but on travel to and from, like especially if I'm going from like maybe what is it, B, I think if I'm going from D to B, I'm gonna get sniped probably 8 out of 10 times.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It's a weird map in that sense where it is meant to be close quarters, but it's actually pretty good for sniping. And but like you said, it's also it's almost in like more annoying spots where you're actually just kind of like trying to figure out your next location.
Just started moving away from the point and I got sniped.
Yeah, so a bit more cover and stuff like that I think would, even a bit more like foliage and stuff where it just kind of blocks their view or something. Something like that would be handy. But
yeah, another good kind of tying into your tip there, I'd say try sniping. Try that slower paced style of gameplay. Or in terms of like recommendations per weapon, I'd say like assault is really good. Like those assault rifles. Pretty solid choice to cover. I've been seeing a lot of people using the SVK, and as an SVK fan, I think it's a good fit because you do have that mid to far range that you can use. So if you are in a position where maybe you're not going to get to the point fast enough to really claim it, but you can be some good coverage for your friends going to that point, it's a good one. I think it's got a lot of that good mid to long range there.
Yeah, I definitely think assault rifles are. To be fair, on probably every map, they're kind of the meta because they're just the jack of all trades. But especially on this map, because it is like you can, how we've said that you can kind of play every play style during a game. When you've got an assault rifle, you don't even have to respawn for that. You can literally use like, you've obviously got the plus system. You can have your weapon set up for that long range engagement, but then with something like, say, the M5A3, you can then switch to like the close combat rounds and a short barrel, and then you can actually go and hang in those close quarters areas with the SMGs, and you can still, a lot of them might still kill you, but
yeah,
you can still do pretty well. So definitely assault rifles. If you're not sure, if you kind of can't figure out which way to play, assault rifles are definitely the best for this map, just because they don't actually force you into any playstyle. You can kind of like, you can fight a sniper and win, and then go inside and fight an SMG and still win. So that is definitely a good tip. And really, like, to be honest, that tip almost just applies to the game in general, and really any shooter, like assault rifles are kind of always like that, but it's like on steroids on this map, I reckon. It just feels, it's not overpowered, but it's just like very versatile.
I think there's a lot of advantage to going for more versatile. You either want to specialize super hardcore and just play that, but I'd say for the majority of players, trying to be that jack of all trades, get in there, get out of there type of thing.
Yeah.
And then finally, to kind of pull this episode to an end, there are a few more updates that I just found from the Inside Battlefield episode 7. Vault weapons, skins, and attachments are still being looked into. They're looking into. Actually, they're not looking into any aircraft mechanic reworks. Thermal scopes for tanks, they're looking into it. There are currently no plans to add commander modes. And then I think one that you definitely would be interested in, they're looking to update some rush layouts, but they're focused on other things at the moment right now. And squad management won't be coming to Season 4. It's still in development.
The one thing I'm disappointed with there is the aircraft reworks. I wish they would rework them so they didn't exist. That would be great.
Yeah. I totally second. I think the biggest change that aircrafts really need is they need to adjust the existence of them to be non-existent.
Yeah, exactly. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. I'm going to make some people angry with that one.
Yeah. 100%. But I feel like they're getting worse. I don't know what it is, because they did nerf them. They nerfed them ages ago, but they just feel... I will say I'm really happy with the balance of ground vehicles at this point. I feel like there's none that I'm just constantly dying through. When I die to a tank, it's probably my fault. I was probably in the wrong spot. Or it's just the fact that obviously a tank is going to kill you every now and then. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
When I die to a chopper, I feel as though there is quite literally not one thing I can do to stop it. And... It's
literally.
Just every game that I see someone flying around in a chopper, I look at the scoreboard and they're like 104. And it's like, how have you got 100? You've got a 25 KD. That is not balanced. You can't get 100 kills and 4 deaths unless you're just an absolute freak. But the amount of times I see it makes me think it's not just because they're a freak. They're obviously very good players to be able to do that, but you don't see people doing that very often with a regular weapon. I see it almost every game with a chopper. Like, literally almost every single game, there's someone that just goes absolutely nuts. So, I don't know. I don't know what's changed that has made them feel stronger, because they haven't buffed them. And in fact, months ago, like it was probably during Season 2, maybe even Season 1, that they nerfed them a bit. So,
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what's changed. Maybe just less people are running anti-aircraft type stuff. I'm not sure, but
I know I am.
They're running rampant at the moment.
Yeah. I hope they do change it, but I highly doubt it, considering how vocal the helicopter people are.
Yeah.
If they made any changes to them, I could see. So those people, they've got a lot to lose. They've got a 25 KD to lose.
Yeah, exactly. You nerf an infantry player's weapon, they'll just use a different one. You nerf a chopper player's chopper, they may as well uninstall the game, because they probably don't even play on the ground at all. So,
like, I can't even. I don't know how to run.
Yeah. I have legs now. What the hell is this? I'm used to just having like a chopper. What the hell?
Yeah, I don't understand how chopper players play in Battlefield, because I feel like the controls in Battlefield for aircraft are so bad.
I can't even fly in a straight line without crashing. Like, I don't know how people
seriously.
do it. I'm so bad at it. I can spawn in one and just fly like high in the air to get where I need, and then I just throw the chopper at a wall and jump out.
Yeah.
But if you ask me, if you said to me right now, play a game and just get one kill with a chopper, I would just say I can't. I do not know how to do that. Unless it involves throwing the chopper into them, maybe.
Yeah. Does it count if I die?
Yeah.
Does that count as my kill? Because that would work. I could do that. And this is not from someone who like never plays aircraft games. Like I freaking was an esports commentator for Star Wars
we played
Squadrons.
Man. We were decent at that game too. It's not like we don't know how to do it. It's just, I don't know what it is with the chopper. I guess choppers are slightly different than like a starfighter in Star Wars, but yeah, I just can't wrap my head around it. I've never been able to. In Battlefield 4, I was okay at being like like a pilot of a Black Hawk and flying around the map and letting everyone else shoot. But if I've got to fly and shoot, my brain can't comprehend that.
Too much. I don't understand how that works. Even on like the jets.
Yeah.
I had to quit and respawn because I could not turn my jet around. I was like, I don't know. Like literally, I'm spawning out right now. I'm too far gone. I don't know how to turn. What's going on?
Goodness.
But with that fun anecdote, thank you all so much for listening to this episode of the Battlefield Show. We greatly appreciate your support. Let us know your thoughts on Battlefield 2042 Season 4. What are you looking forward to? Are there changes that you'd like to see made? What loadout are you playing on Flashpoint? Love to hear that. Thank you all for listening. We'd like to thank Ethan Clark for the beautiful thumbnail, and make sure to check out Sammy's channel. As always, we'll see you on the battlefield.